Whatever you do, don't blink. Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of episode 4, Village of the Angels for Doctor Who Flux. This was Chris Chibnall, probably his best episode ever. We had Jodie finally step up as the Doctor. Finally she had a Doctor moment, which is brilliant. Finally, welcome to the table, Jodie Whittaker. What's his name? Eustachius Jericho. My God, what a character. Thoroughly enjoyed him. So I'm going to kick on with this review. As you can tell, I'm very excited. So let's get on with it. I'd like to start the review with obviously missing the end of the previous episode of how the Angel took the TARDIS, and I've got to admit it was an up point for episode 3, which was a very heavy and confusing episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. That ended, it properly put my gob to the floor. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and how the Angel was dispatched was quite clever. How she used some sort of cable coming out of the TARDIS walls, the way John Bishop says he's got dry eyes, and the way they dispatched the Angel was very, very clever, and the way they just simply blinked and timed it to perfection. Now, looking at my notes here, which there are a lot of, it took me a good 2 or 3 watches to watch the episode to get some notes down, because as soon as I start watching the episode, I'm into it. And I've got to be honest, I haven't felt like this for a Chris Chibnall episode ever. I think the last one was 42. This was brilliant. This was superb. I was on the edge of my seat. I wanted to know what happened next. Each character was strong and powerful. The way she comes out the TARDIS with the elderly couple looking for a young girl called Peggy. Immediately, sonic screwdriver, don't wander off. Such a Doctor move. And Jodie has never been more acting like the Doctor than she was in this episode. I thought her character, or her characterisation of the Doctor, stuck out. I thought it was superb. I thought the only downside of this whole episode was, and I hate to say it, was John Bishop in this one. He was a very laid back, very he's gone. His head's gone. He doesn't know what's happening. He's totally it's like he had a long day at the office or something. He wasn't great in this episode. Yaz was, again, strong, depending on her police work in the past. I've got to say, I really did enjoy Yaz in this episode, and Eustachius Jericho, get him as a companion, loved him. I thought he was absolutely superb. Obviously he's from Pirates of the Caribbean. I liked him in Pirates of the Caribbean. He's a superb actor, and to see the character develop through this episode, he's obviously a man that's been through a lot, seen a lot, and he wasn't going to let the Angels terrify him. The little camera trickery in this episode I thought was, to be quite frank, genius. I really did, and I've got to applaud Jamie Magnus Stone. You were genius in this, especially towards the transition of where she's leaning forward and leans back up and the angel wings are behind her. I have seen the behind scenes video of that and how it was filmed. It looked a little clunky, but it worked. It really did work. I thought it was fantastic. The CGI alone in this episode was absolutely fantastic. I think adding a new rule or law to the Angels, that the second time you get zapped to the past, you simply die. I think maybe that's a new rule that's been incorporated in towards the future of the show to make the angels more than just a one weapon bad guy, you know? And I think that's clever. It makes them deadly. Really, really, really deadly. And to see the effects of it when Peggy's great aunt and uncle get zapped away was quite frankly terrifying. And I haven't felt like that in a Doctor Who episode, I don't think, since Angels Took Manhattan with Amy, Rory and Levin. It's good to see the angels come back into this. It really is. I thought Yaz stepped up in that moment and apologising to Peggy while she's obviously distraught herself. I thought that was superb acting. But then we get, I think it's back to the house with the madness that's going on there with like 30 angels trying to get hold of Claire. And then we hear that it's a rogue angel on the run from the division, and she has the Doctor's entire past, and that she would trade it if she could save its life. I saw what was going to happen from there. It was sort of, I knew it was a trap because you can't trust the angels. The angels are one of the deadliest creatures in the universe. I wouldn't have trusted them, full stop. But as we know, the Doctor's state of mind is not at its peak right now. She doesn't know who she is. She is asking 1,000 questions a minute, and she fell for the trap. The lighting, the effects. I've also got to say the soundtrack in this episode. Murray Gold couldn't have done better. The soundtrack in this episode was terrifying, and it's got to be said that I'm loving Seki Ekinola's soundtrack this season. I really am. He is on form. Everything is ticking boxes. And when it comes towards the Doctor's performance this episode, I thought the part where Jodie steps up against the angel and she's on her own with her back against the wall and she says, "I'm very quick." That was the Doctor moment. No fear at all, and I genuinely connected with Jodie in that moment, and that was her, or to me that was her Doctor moment, and I can't believe she's done it against a weeping angel. I'm obviously skipping over quite a bit of the episode and details that have come out, which I will go further into in a minute, but I've just watched the episode again, and honestly, you could have made this feature length, this episode. It wasn't too fast, it wasn't manic, it told a proper horrifying linear story that gripped you from the first minute to the last. It's also got to be said that I can see why they took the Bell and Vinda bit and put it in the post-credits, because it wouldn't have made sense. It wouldn't have made sense to put it in this episode, because this episode was so the Team TARDIS versus the Angels. It wouldn't have fitted. That's the only flux I think going on at the moment. But also look at something else. They're pulling out the village out of space and time in two different parts, one in 1901 and one in 1967, which I thought was genius, absolutely fantastic, totally genius. And when Chibnall does partnership episodes, it is thoroughly enjoyable to watch. Like Fugitive of the Jadoon, I think that was one of the most chaotic episodes of Series 12, but it was thoroughly enjoyable. Whenever he does a partnership episode, it seems to work. I think he struggled with in the past for Monsters of the Week, and it's made it quite boring. But when he does a partnership episode or hands the reins over to someone else with his ideas put in, it works. I mean, look at Kablam. Kablam worked. Kablam was one of my favourite episodes of Series 11. But today, talking about the Village of Angels, Give me more. That was properly good Doctor Who, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay then guys, let's talk about my favourite bit of the episode, and that was when the Doctor was inside Claire's mind and left Eustace Jericho versus the Angels. I loved this. I really did. I was on tenterhooks. I thought Jericho was going to get done. The bit where he, speaks to his own voice because the angel is using his voice. I don't know how that works. Is that a mental thing? Is that because I thought it was supposed to be physical? Because as we saw in the Time of Angels with River Song and Amy in Series 5, we learned that they needed the physical voice cords of Bob, or Angel Bob as they were called in the episode. But obviously this must be a mental thing, because obviously the angel must be making mental contact with Jericho for filling him up with self-doubt so he would close his eyes. You are observed, and that is my power over you. Oh, fantastic. Standing to attention when he was saying to the Doctor he will not be scared of a load of statues, and the end where he gets caught. Unfortunately, I was gutted. I was hoping he was going to make it to the end of the episode. He did, nearly. The Doctor was the last one standing along with Claire, and a lot of angels, and an awful lot of angels there were. There were little bits in this episode that I really did like, and I think that was the bit where they'd split 1901 and 1967 between night and day, and obviously Peggy meets her future self, and it's revealed that the TARDIS ship landed on top of a lover's tunnel, and that's when we see the angel hands coming through the wall. This was brilliant. Thoroughly brilliant. I can't explain how much that night. I'd just come back from Comic-Con. I was tired. I'd had a power cut that night as well, so it got delayed. That's why I didn't record anything. But I remember sitting there for a good 5 minutes, and I was shocked how good this episode was. My hero of the episode is Eustace Jericho. I hope there's more of him. I've seen next week's trailer. He's in it. He's teamed up with Dan and Yaz in 1901. I thoroughly enjoyed this. And the final bit of the episode is when the Doctor gets called back to Division, and we see the Doctor turn into an angel. Personally, myself, the only thing I can think this is a capture vehicle, similar to Han Solo getting put in. Is it carbonite? Is it? I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan on the planet, but that's the only thing I can think of it being. Is next week's episode for Sunday, are we going to get a Doctor Light episode? It would be going back to trope, because during this RTD and the Moffat era we would usually get a Doctor Light episode with the companions so we can connect with them. I mean, look at Turn Left, one of the best episodes ever. And I've got to admit, with this bit, I'm looking forward to it. The Division, are we finally going to meet maybe Tecteun? Is it the White Guardian? Who was that woman in the previous episode, in episode 3? We didn't see Williamson in this episode. Where does he come into all of this? But my score for this week is the highest score I've given a Doctor Who episode since Peter Capaldi. Today's episode, I've ranked 9 out of 10. Never done a 9 out of 10 before. I couldn't believe it was a 9. I was going through all my plot points, all the things that I could mark. It doesn't get any higher, really, for me. To get a 10 out of 10, you have to be Blink, Day of the Moon level for me, and it was just a little under because of John Bishop. But John's allowed a dippy episode. He has been fantastic for 3 episodes. He's allowed a little bit of a day off. But to see him take a day off and the rest of the episode rise, and I was in my absolute element. Now, if you like what I do with the channel, hit that like button. And if you'd like to continue to support the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to make myself get to 50 subscribers before the end of the year, and I'm hoping that's you. Come along with me on this adventure, because I've got a sneaky suspicion this is going to be a belter. And don't forget, guys, have yourselves a lovely evening. Take care. Bye bye.